Welcome back to the Lightning Bolt Chronicles. This is Chronicle 1-7, Book 1, Chapter 7, entitled The Sorting Hat. Hey, y'all. Hey, it's me, Christina McCrary on Facebook, aka Xtina McCrazy on Instagram and TikTok, host of McCrazy's Place podcast on YouTube, and it has an IG and a Facebook. Co-host of Thursday Night Live, which streams live Thursday nights at 5:15-ish p.m. Pacific on my YouTube and my Facebook and a couple other YouTubes and Facebooks. And co-host of this wonderful magical podcast, the Lightning Bolt Chronicles, where we talk about Harry Potter, our favorite thing in the whole wide world. And I do it with my favorite person in the whole wide world, my bestie. Please introduce yourself, love.
Hi, everyone. Hello, all of my magical friends. It's Erica, your local Hufflepuff. Yoo-hoo-hoo. I am Poodle Noodle 82 on Instagram, and you can find me there. And yeah, that's where we make magic happen. That's all.
Okay. So this is going to be the third time, but I have to say it. This chapter is everything. I can't help it. Every chapter is like a whole new discovery. Like it's like it opened up like this, and then the next chapter it was like this, and then the next chapter it went like this, and now it's going like this, and it's just gonna keep. Sorry, actually, I'm not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry, because yeah, we're gonna say this every single chapter. Every single chapter, we're gonna say, "I love it. I love it more than
everything."
But because that's what keeps us coming back, right? That's what flipping the pages is that
kind of, and not just the first time, but the multiple times that we keep reading them.
That right there.
Okay. Absolutely. Okay. It is your turn to give the chapter summary.
It is indeed my turn. This chapter is called The Sorting Hat, as we already discussed. And basically it is the introduction to the Sorting Hat. We left off with a knock, right? Boom, 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 a knock at the door. The door opens. Who opens it? Our first introduction to Professor McGonagall, the head of Gryffindor House. She, as Harry said, when he first laid eyes on the woman, knew this was not someone to cross. That is the air
with Minerva.
Those are her vibes, the air that she gives. She is not someone to test. She's not with the nonsense, which is wonderful because, I mean, she's with a little nonsense, but I mean, on occasion, when the moment calls for it, she's there with it. Like in one of my favorite scenes of hers, but that's very, very far into the future, so don't worry about it. So Harry enters the castle. The doors open, and oh my gosh, the Great Hall. The Great Hall. So Hermione is directing us through the Great Hall. She's kind of narrating the scene here. They look up. There are the floating candles. The sky, it looks like the night sky, but as we learn from Hermione, it is bewitched. Harry is just, wow, shocked. You can fit all of the Dursleys' house in the Great Hall. That's how big this place is. Everything is made of marble. The staircases, they move. It's all wild. It's amazing. And then we see these 4 long tables along the way of the room. And then at the very top of the room is this one table with all of the professors. And the kids, they walk up. Actually, in the book, this is a book versus movie moment. In the book, they are kind of set off to a little side room, whereas in the movie, they walk straight in and they're sorted.
A vestibule, if you will.
Yes, a vestibule, which is a little room, kind of like an ATM room. Those are also called vestibules. If you watch Friends, you know, R.I.P. Chandler. So basically, when they go up to the front, they're in front of all the kids, and everyone is so afraid of what the sorting is going to be because they don't know what it's going to be. Do you remember what Ron thought it was going to be?
He said, Harry said, what do you think the test is going to be? And Ron said, I don't know. Fred said it hurts a lot, but I think he might have been joking.
Of course, with the twins, we find out that he thought that he had to wrestle a troll or something, which is hilarious. Nobody knows,
Because
right?
absolutely, 11-year-olds should totally wrestle a troll.
But why isn't this known? Nobody tells anybody to keep it a secret. Tons of people have gone through it.
I think it's because, well, I don't want to spoil it. I'll tell you why later. Let's come back to that question. Let's put a pin in it.
All right. So the only thing you have to do is put on this hat. This hat that, interestingly enough, Aunt Petunia would definitely not let in her house, according to Harry, because it is dirty. It is just all ripped up to shreds and just old.
Patched and old.
Patched. Yes. And all you have to do is put it on. So we come to find out that this is a magical hat. The way we find out is because all eyes are on the hat. And Harry's like, okay, if everybody else is really staring at this hat, I guess I'm going to too. And all of a sudden, the brim of the hat opens up and it starts talking. Because it's talking.
No.
No.
It starts singing.
That's true. You are correct. It starts singing.
Because talking wasn't strange enough. But no. It actually started to sing.
It does. It sings. It's amazing, right? So we come to find out that this hat is made up of the 4. I'm going to give you a little preview into the hat from what we learn in the future because I think it's necessary now. The 4 witches and wizards who founded the School of Hogwarts made this hat from their own minds. So there's a little bit of Godric Gryffindor, there's a little bit of Helga Hufflepuff, there's a little bit of Rowena Ravenclaw, and there's a little bit of Salazar Slytherin. And those are the 4 houses: Hogwarts, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin. Those are the 4 houses in Hogwarts. And because those are the 4 founding fathers of the school, the founding witches and wizards of the school. And I'm going to stop right here. Fan folklore, and actually it was confirmed by She Who Must Not Be Named that it drew inspiration from The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe and the 4 characters there. So the 4 characters there are the 4 founding fathers of Hogwarts. So
interesting.
You can go on the internet and research because Edmund, the boy who betrays the other 3,
is Slytherin.
Yes. So, going back to the Sorting Hat song, it discusses the characteristics, the traits. Yes, Christina, tell me about it.
Can I read it?
Yeah,
Can I just
please.
read it? Can I just read
Yeah.
it? Okay.
Yeah.
For a few seconds, there was complete silence. Then the hat twitched. A rip near the brim opened wide like a mouth, and the hat began to sing. Oh, you may not think I'm pretty, but don't judge on what you see. I'll eat myself if you can find a smarter hat than me. You can keep your bowlers black, your top hats sleek and tall, for I'm the Hogwarts sorting hat, and I can cap them all. There's nothing hidden in your head the sorting hat can't see, so try me on and I will tell you where you ought to be. You might belong in Gryffindor, where dwell the brave at heart. Their daring nerve and chivalry set Gryffindors apart. You might belong in Hufflepuff, where they are just and loyal. Those patient Hufflepuffs are true and unafraid of toil. Or yet in wise old Ravenclaw, if you've a ready mind, where those of wit and learning will always find their kind. Or perhaps in Slytherin, you'll make your real friends. Those cunning folk use any means to achieve their ends. So put me on, don't be afraid, and don't get in a flap. You're in safe hands, though I have none, for I'm a thinking cap. The whole hall burst into applause.
So there you have it. Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, and Slytherin. Those are your houses, and those are their traits, their characteristics. Now, after the sorting begins, each kid is called up, puts the hat on, and they're sorted into their houses. The hat looks into your brain and decides based on your personal traits, who you are and what they see in your brain, that where you belong. And of course, Draco Malfoy puts the hat on and it barely grazes his little head when it screams out Slytherin. We have other characters, Neville, for example. The hat takes its time with Neville. So Christina and I kind of talked about this a little bit before, and we're like, why did it take its time? Where would you think Neville would be? And as you read the books, you will make your own decision about that. But I definitely think that it would be Hufflepuff. Christina, you agreed? Yeah, you agreed with me on that.
Agreed.
And Hermione was like, oh, well, when Neville put the hat on, it was hilarious because it took its time. It decided on Gryffindor, and he was so happy, he ran off with the hat still on and then had to go back and give it back to the next person. I thought that was very Neville. Hermione puts it on. She gets sorted into Gryffindor.
It takes a minute.
Yes, it takes a minute because, again, she's extremely intelligent and could very well be a Ravenclaw. And then, so it goes through everyone, and finally it comes to the P's because it's going in alphabetical order, and it's Harry Potter's turn. And when it says Harry Potter's name, Harry feels like he has rocks in his shoes, like he's heavy, he's weighted down, does not want to get up to the stage, goes. As he turns around and looks.
May I?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead.
As he turns around and looks into the hall, he sees everyone's eyes are on him because he hears the whispers. He sees everybody. Is that what you wanted to hit?
The fact that, remember, he's famous. So when they call out his name, everybody's like, what? The Harry Potter? Did they say Harry Potter? And they're all craning and trying to see him. And the kid's like, dude, the anxiety. Poor Harry's anxiety in these last two chapters.
I think we don't have any medical information about the kids throughout, like on injuries and stuff, sure, but that kid's got to have a stomach ulcer by the time he gets into high school.
And doesn't even know who he is yet. Jeez.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's like the nervous energy that he forever has because he has no idea what the hell's gonna happen. It's like,
Yeah.
Okay,
But see,
go ahead. Sorry.
That's what puts him into the house that he eventually is in. So like the sorting hat's put on him, and the sorting hat, he doesn't realize that the sorting hat is having this conversation with him out loud. So everybody hears what the sorting hat is saying. He just thinks it's in his head. And so the sorting hat's like, ooh. What?
I don't think so. Not in the book, right? Only in the movie.
In the book, it doesn't say.
Okay.
It doesn't say. There is no actual, like, this is happening in your head where no one else can see, or no one else can hear.
But nobody ever knows about the conversation that Harry had with the sorting hat until he tells someone about it. So that's why I feel like the conversation goes on with the hat inside your head. Yeah.
Okay.
We might need to put a pin in it and come back. But I feel like the conversation was happening inside and it just yells out your house. Because even with Hermione, like it says that it took a while. And with Neville, it says it took a while. But I'm sure they were having conversations too.
Oh, maybe. Okay. Well, if you know, let us know.
Yeah.
And if we find out, we'll let you know. So, the sorting hat and him have a conversation about how, let's see. It says, let's read it because it is highly important.
Wait, before you find it, can I? Where is it? Oh, I just saw it, but I lost it.
What do you need?
It was where he was like, they're talking about what each of the houses are or whatever. And Harry's like, did they have a house for people who were feeling distinctly queasy? Because that's what he was right now.
Yes, I love that.
Well, here it is right here. The hat seemed to be asking rather a lot. Harry didn't feel brave or quick-witted or any of it at the moment. If only the hat had mentioned a house for people who felt a bit queasy, that would have been the one for him. I just love that.
Poor thing. I mean, can you imagine? He has no idea what's going on. He has no idea that like what he has to do. He thinks he has to do magic in front of people, and he is flipping out, right? He's like, I don't know any magic yet. Maybe I have to take a rabbit out of the hat. I've seen that happen. Maybe that's it.
And Hermione's running through all the spells she already knows. Ooh, I wonder which one I'm going to have to use.
Oh, okay. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I'm going to clear it up right now because it says, said a small voice in his ear. So I think you're correct in that no one else heard this conversation. So it
continues. Yeah, because I also found the part with Neville where it says, the hat took a long time to decide with Neville when it finally shouted Gryffindor. So that was, I mean, there had to have been a conversation going on in his head if it took a long time for him.
Yeah. So these conversations with the hat are definitely internal.
Yeah.
So the hat continues. Difficult. Very difficult. Plenty of courage, I see. Not a bad mind either. There's talent. Oh, my goodness, yes. And a nice thirst to prove yourself. Now that's interesting. So where shall I put you? And of course, Harry is like, not Slytherin, not Slytherin, right? And then the hat replies, not Slytherin, eh? Are you sure? You could be great, you know. It's all here in your head. And Slytherin will help you on the way to greatness. No doubt about that. No? Well, if you're sure, better be Gryffindor!
Gryffindor!
Woo. So,
oh, see, the next line. Read the next line.
All right. Harry heard the hat shout the last word to the whole hall. There you go. That's another ticket. So the small voice and the last word to the whole hall tell us everything we need to know. They're all the conversations are all small in the head, and then finally when the hat wants to talk, there it goes. Okay.
Yeah, everybody only gets to get the decision, not the discussion.
That's it's good that it's private.
Yeah.
Another thing I wanted to read. He was so relieved to have been chosen and not put in Slytherin. He hardly noticed that he was getting the loudest cheer yet. Percy the prefect got up and shook his hand vigorously, while the Weasley twins yelled, "We got Potter!
We got Potter! We got Potter!" I love the friggin' Weasley twins. They're just always doing something.
That is so the Weasley twins. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. So one of the other things that Harry was concerned about is, I think, a very typical childhood feeling. The schoolyard choosing of the teams, being picked last, not being picked at all. He discussed how at school, none of the kids wanted to pick him because not because they didn't think he wasn't good, or he didn't have talent, but because they didn't want to not side with Dudley, right? They wanted to make sure that they weren't on Dudley's bad side. And so
Dudley was the big bad bully.
And so he got that feeling again into the pit of his stomach where, like, oh, what if I don't get picked at all? What if they tell me that there was a mistake and I have to board the train back home?
Poor Harry.
The anxiety,
Poor
right?
Harry.
I know. So, finally, the sorting is done, and we sit down at the tables where there are plates. There are ghosts. We meet ghosts, right? When they come in, the ghosts come in, and seemingly there's a ghost for every house, kind of like there is a teacher representative for every house and a prefect for every house. The prefects are the class leaders, right? That house's leader, and which Percy Weasley, one of the Weasley kids, happens to be the Gryffindor prefect, like I said.
Percy the prefect.
And we meet the Gryffindor ghost, who is, can you tell us a little bit about the ghosts?
Okay, so 2 book versus movie moments in this one. So in the book, they meet the ghosts in the vestibule while they're waiting for the sorting to be ready. They come through the wall and they're just like kind of gliding and talking to each other like the kids would be all the way at school. And then they look and they're like, oh, new students, eh? That's how they first meet the ghosts. In the movie, they're already sitting at the table, and then all of a sudden, all the ghosts just come running through the walls and spread out all over the place. So that's one book versus movie moment. But they go and they sit down at the table, and they saw the ghosts, or the first year saw the ghosts earlier, but now the ghosts that represent each table are literally sitting at the table, meeting people and like introducing themselves. And so the Gryffindor ghost is like, hi, I am Sir Nicholas Porpington de Mimsey.
Sir Nicholas de Mimsy Porpington.
Thank you. Sir Nicholas de Mimsy Porpington. And then, who was it? I think it was Ron, who was like, oh, I've heard of you. You're nearly headless. Oh, this again, book versus movie moment. So,
Yeah.
In the book, I think it's Ron who's like, nearly headless? How can you be nearly headless? But in the movie, it's Hermione who says, nearly headless? No, it's Seamus. In the book, it's Seamus. In the movie, it's Hermione. Nearly headless? How can one be nearly headless? And first he says, I prefer, Ron says, oh, I've heard of you. You're nearly headless Nick. And he says, I prefer to be called Sir Nicholas. And then Seamus cuts him off and is like, nearly headless? How can someone be nearly headless? And in the movie, it's Hermione. Nearly headless? How can one be nearly headless? And he pops his head to the side and shows that he was not quite beheaded all the way. And this will be something that'll come up later on in the books and all this, because he's a little bitter that he couldn't join because he's not technically headless. So
there you go. We also meet the Hufflepuff ghost, who is the Fat Friar. We also meet the Bloody Baron, who is sitting next to Draco Malfoy, much to Draco's displeasure and to Harry's content, because he sees that Draco is a little bit miserable sitting next to him. So those are the ghosts. We do not meet the ghost of Ravenclaw because she does not commingle. She prefers to be off on her own. And that's fine, as we do. So we get to
we hear about but don't meet Peeves. Book versus movie.
Yeah. We meet Peeves later as they're walking back to Gryffindor. So we get to talking about families and how, like, Seamus is half and half, right? So half wizard, half muggle, which, if you remember, the term muggle is for non-magic people. In America, they're called no-mage. And then we talk about the kids are basically having
my dad's a muggle, my mom's a witch. Sorry.
Kids cafeteria moments where Harry gets to enjoy normal life without Dudley, and they're all just getting to know each other, and he's starting to realize he's not going to be that far behind. He's not, like, everybody's starting at the same place, because technically, kids are not allowed to do magic until they start school, and they're not allowed to do magic outside of school anyway. So it's kind of a level playing field. He's feeling a little bit more relaxed now. And then they
like
talk
the playing field, like he's got a shot.
Yeah.
Because he's used to starting from behind.
Yeah. And they get to talk about the lessons that they're going to take. Hermione is super excited about transfiguration, because transfiguration is where you change one object into something else, which that does sound extremely cool. And then you have potions, which we learn that Professor Snape teaches. So everybody's there, and then Harry is starting to look around a little bit more, trying to take it all in now that he's not so nervous. He looks up to the teacher's table, and he sees Professor Dumbledore finally in the flesh. He saw him on his chocolate frog card, but now he gets to actually see him in the flesh. And then he moves on and he sees Hagrid having a little sippy sipper from his goblet, of course. And then he sees Professor Quirrell with his funny turban, as always, or as he met him at the Leaky Cauldron. And then he sees a dark-haired, sullen wizard. And interestingly enough, the moment that they lock eyes, something very strange happens for the very first time to Harry. However, it will continue to happen, and it is highly significant. His scar bursts into pain, searing pain for the very first time, and he touches his hand to his forehead and is like, ouch. He sees this greasy, black-haired, hooked-nosed, sallow-skinned man. And he turns to Percy and says, who is that? And he finds out it is Professor Snape, an extremely significant character throughout the whole series. So in his mind, he's connecting the pain to Professor Snape because the moment that they locked eyes, it happened, right? So from that moment, there is that association. He caused this pain in my head, in my scar, and he is a bad man, right? And we don't talk about it again for a while. We don't think about it again. It subsides. Then they talk about Quidditch trials, and he learns more about Quidditch, and he learns about the Forbidden Forest, which is on the grounds, on the premises, and it's forbidden. And we learn that the third floor corridor is out of bounds. The third floor corridor on the right side is out of bounds to all who do not wish to die a most painful death. Okay. What a warning. And then Dumbledore talks about how, he says, let's all sing the school song. You tell me a little bit about that?
Dumbledore gave his wand a little flick as if he was trying to get a fly off the end, and a long golden ribbon flew out of it, which rose high above the tables and twisted itself, snake-like, into words. Everyone picked their favorite tune, said Dumbledore, and off we go. And the school bellowed. Hogwarts, Hogwarts, hoggy-warty Hogwarts, teach us something, please, whether we be old and bald or young with scabby knees. Our heads could do with filling with some interesting stuff, for now they're bare and full of air, dead flies and bits of fluff. So teach us things worth knowing, bring back what we've forgot, just do your best, we'll do the rest, and learn until our brains all rot. Everybody finished the song at different times. At last, only the Weasley twins were left, singing along to a very slow funeral march. Dumbledore conducted their last few lines with his wand, and when they had finished, he was one of those who clapped loudest.
Yeah. So they sing the song, and then Harry they all leave, and he has a feeling of heaviness again, kind of like he did before the Sorting Hat, but this time it's a positive feeling. He is full, he is content, he is not stressing, and he's sleepy, right? So they all walk in their house together because the prefects need to lead the first years into the Gryffindor common room because they don't know how to get there. And they're walking through, and he sees that the pictures in the portraits are moving. The people are moving. He doesn't even think about it too much at that moment because he's just so full and so tired. They walk through tapestries. They walk through like these little seemingly secret passages and whatnot. And they get
They meet
to
Peeves.
they meet Peeves, the school poltergeist. We'll learn more about him, but just suffice to say that I'm super sad that he is not a character in the movies. He is everything when it comes to the Weasley twins and mischief and some really good moments, some really good, funny moments. So, unfortunately, he was not, he was actually cast as, what's that guy's name?
I don't know, but it was the guy who played Drop Dead Fred, and I think that would have been so perfect.
The guy who played Drop Dead Fred. And if you haven't seen Drop Dead Fred, go watch it because it's good. So that guy, but he didn't make it. They did a couple of takes. You can watch some deleted scenes online, but they ultimately did not keep the role in the movies. So Harry goes off to sleep. Well, no, first of all, they meet the fat lady, the portrait of the fat lady. This is how you enter the Gryffindor common room. She says, password. And you have to give her the current password as it changes for security purposes, as you all should change your passwords for security purposes. So they give her the password. Neville needs a leg up because apparently you got to hop into the Gryffindor common room.
It's a hole.
Yeah.
It's a circle, a circular hole. You have to climb through the portrait hole.
That's so weird. So the guys are led up to the boys' dormitory. The girls are led up to
none of the rest of this stuff is weird at all.
It's Hogwarts. Stuff's weird.
Right.
There are, what I love, 4 poster beds. How fun is that?
With curtains. Red velvet curtains.
Well, yeah, it's Gryffindor. Everything's red or maroon or something of that red-ish color.
It's like a cardinal red.
Harry was going to ask Ron what he thought, but he just fell straight. What he thought of the treacle tart, because FYI, this is Harry's favorite dessert. But he was like way too tired and just fell asleep. And he had a dream. He was in Quirrell's turban. He talked to Malfoy. He was trying to fight Quirrell's turban because it was on him, suffocating him. Malfoy laughed at him for trying to fight with the turban. And then he saw Snape. And then he saw a flash of green light. All of this, highly significant in the future. For now, it's just a dream. He goes back to sleep. When he wakes up, he doesn't even remember this dream. However, in the future, this is just foreshadowing because it is highly, highly significant for the future. One thing that we forgot to discuss, which is hilarious, is how Neville found out that he was magical, or how his family found out he was magical. Do you want to tell us about it?
So his Uncle Aggie would constantly jump scare him, trying to scare the magic out of him, because little kids typically have things happen that show that they have magic. Like, they can't control it, so little things will happen. By the way, there was a mention as to how Harry was more nervous than when he had to bring home a note to the Dursleys, letting them know that he had somehow turned his teacher's wig blue.
Yes.
Yeah, stuff like that. So little kids who haven't gone to Hogwarts yet will have little things happen that show that they have magic. But Neville was 8 years old, and the family's like, he's not showing any signs. He's not showing any signs. And so his uncle would constantly try to scare him and would do little stuff to see what would happen. And so when he's about 8 years old, Uncle Aggie holds him out the window by his ankle. And he doesn't mean to drop him, but he does. And Neville bounces. And that's how they find out that, yay, he does have magic. And then that's how he ended up with Trevor, because his Uncle Aggie was so happy that he bought Neville his toad, Trevor.
So
Something else that okay, first, just fun fact. The very first password is Caput Draconis. And like you said, it changes all the time. And they're always little words that have to do with magic and stuff like that. So it's just a fun little fact. And the other thing that I wanted to point out, you forgot to talk about the most important part of Dumbledore's
I know
speech.
what you're about to say. What Dumbledore talks about?
Yes.
When he introduces everyone? Yeah. Go for it.
May I?
Yes, please.
Albus Dumbledore had gotten to his feet. He was beaming at the students, his arms opened wide, as if nothing could have pleased him more than to see them all there. "Welcome," he said. "Welcome to a new year at Hogwarts. Before we begin our banquet, I would like to say a few words. And here they are. Nitwit, Blubber, Oddment, Tweak. Thank you." He sat back down. Everybody clapped and cheered. Harry didn't know whether to laugh or not. "Is he a bit mad?" he asked Percy uncertainly. "Mad?" said Percy airily. "He's a genius. Best wizard in the world. But he is a bit mad, yes. Potatoes, Harry?"
Oh,
And the reason why I kept reading after the speech was because that line there with Percy is going to be very significant later. How much of a genius he thinks Dumbledore is, but also mad.
Yeah. And when you say potatoes, Harry, it is because the plates are magic. The table is magic. All the food just magically appears. And Harry is dumbfounded. And like, he even says, well, the narrator even says that he was never starved per se at the Dursleys, but they also did not really feed him enough. And Dudley, being Dudley, always took everything that Harry wanted. And that is why.
Even if it made him sick.
Exactly. Even if it made him sick. And so Harry sees all this and he's like, oh my gosh, amazing.
May I?
Yeah.
Potatoes, Harry. Harry's mouth fell open. The dishes in front of him were now piled with food. He had never seen so many things he liked to eat on one table. Roast beef, roast chicken, pork chops and lamb chops, sausages, bacon and steak, boiled potatoes, roast potatoes, fries, Yorkshire pudding, peas, carrots, gravy, ketchup, and for some strange reason, peppermint humbugs.
I love it. Love it.
I just love the imagery, like as it's being explained. If you're like me and you're picturing all this stuff in your head, and so he's naming off all this stuff, and then why are there peppermint humbugs on the table? All right.
It took a little bit of everything except for the peppermint humbugs. And the desserts, right? So the desserts also appear on the table, and then magic. The plates magically clean themselves.
Yep. Everything just disappears when everybody's done eating.
That's fantastic. I want that magic.
Man, me too.
One more book versus movie moment that I thought was interesting is that in the book, Dumbledore has zero interaction with Harry up until now. He doesn't like in the movie, he winks at Harry. They have like eye contact for a moment, and he winks at Harry. Whereas in the book, this doesn't. This interaction does not occur, and I thought that was
Nope, it's just like any other first day of school.
Yeah.
Here's the excerpt from Dessert. When everyone had eaten as much as they could, the remains of the food faded from the plates, leaving them sparkling clean as before. A moment later, the desserts appeared. Blocks of ice cream in every flavor you could think of. Apple pies, treacle tarts, chocolate eclairs, and jam donuts. Trifles, strawberries, jello, rice pudding. Ellipses. Okay. What's your takeaway from this chapter?
So more than anything, it was the Harry sorting, the foreshadowing, and just some. I don't know. It's just very. I was left very. Okay. This is where.
Here we go.
Yeah, this is where we begin. Here we go.
It's like when you go to an amusement park and you get on the roller coaster and it does that first climb where it's like, yeah, you're getting to that part where you're going to go pretty soon.
Yeah.
All right.
How about you?
You want to know? You want to know my takeaway? It's going to flash us back a little bit. It's a little bit of a callback. Sure. So, Professor Quirrell did not have the turban on in the Leaky Cauldron when Harry and he met.
He didn't?
He did not, and I will tell you. So, I was reading this chapter, right? I get to page 121, and it says, they were seated at the table. He'd seen Dumbledore's blah, blah, blah. Harry spotted Professor Quirrell, too, the nervous young man from the Leaky Cauldron. He was looking very peculiar in a large purple turban. That sentence right there made me go, ding, 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 wait, hold on. If he's looking peculiar in a purple turban, all of a sudden, does that mean that there was no turban before? So I went back to the first chapter, and on page 68, there's like, he describes the people in the bar. There was 2 people over here doing this, whatever. There was this person. He never says anybody in a purple turban. Then on the next page, page 69, he describes his introduction to Quirrell. Again, it never says anything about a turban, and they do shake hands. So now, as he's at Hogwarts, now it says, on page 121, he was looking very peculiar in a purple turban. And then it goes on and it says some other things. And then on page 125, it says, Harry, who was starting to feel warm and sleepy, looked up at the high table again. Hagrid was drinking deeply from his goblet. Professor McGonagall was talking to Professor Dumbledore. Professor Quirrell, in his absurd turban, was talking to a teacher with greasy black hair, a hooked nose, and sallow skin. So twice it mentions the purple turban and how weird it is that suddenly he's wearing a turban. So my takeaway was going back to the question before where you were like, oh no, how come he could touch him? It hadn't happened yet. So that month in between that they have in the book that they don't have in the movie is why in the movie Quirrell already has the turban on in the Leaky Cauldron, and he doesn't touch him. So that was my takeaway, because I was like, wait, what? And I started going back to the other chapter, and I was making notes. You see, I have page numbers. So that was my takeaway, was immediately when it said he was looking peculiar in a purple turban, I was like, wait.
Okay, guys, we have watched, read, whatever, all of these books so many times. And yet these things still happen to us. We still go back, we still analyze, like we still find stuff, things click. It happens. That is the beauty
awesome.
of this series of books.
It is a testament to why Potterheads are the way they are.
Yeah.
Okay. We've run over on Chronicle time. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. Here we go, you guys. What is it, honey bunny? What is it? Magic.
It's time to make magic.
All right.
As it is titled The Sorting Hat, and as it is highly important, I thought, and with Christmas coming, I thought, what better way to celebrate than by making a sorting hat ornament for your Christmas tree. Ta-da!
It's so cute.
You know what? It turned out better than I thought it would, although I would really like to fix its face a bit more and make it more pronounced. You can still see it, but I would like it to be more pronounced. Let's go through the pictures very quickly. You are going to need felt, particularly brown felt, hopefully of different shades. You need like one base shade, and then you need one accent shade for the patches. And then you're going to need glue. I used glue gun glue, but you can use fabric glue if you have it. And then also an ornament hook or some kind of rope that you can glue into there to stick it in there. So if you're decorating your Christmas tree and you've got extras, then you can just take one of those ornament hooks. Okay. You also need cardboard, and you're going to cut your cardboard. This is for 2 pieces, so you only need half. One is the circle for the base and for the brim, and then the other one is for the cone for the top. And then I would suggest manipulate the cardboard well so that you can make it like malleable. And then you're going to cut your felt to the sizing, the specifications of whatever size cardboard you cut. And then you are going to make that hideous face with tape. With glue on the hat.
Wait, where is that picture?
Sorry, they're not in order.
No, they are in order, but that one seems to be missing. Why is that one missing?
I don't know.
Because you had a picture of... Hold, please. Let me see, because I thought I downloaded it.
Okay, so I cut 3 pieces of felt. The circle is for the bottom, for the base under the hat. The one with the hole in it is for the top part of the brim. And
there it is.
Okay, so that it looks really hideous, but you're going to cover it with felt. So it has to be pronounced. It has to stick out. It has to be like enough texture so that when you put the felt over it, it pops out. Okay. And then the square is to cover the cone, and you're going to cover it as such. And then you're going to add patches. The patches, you can fray the patches by just cutting them up. And then I drew on them with a marker. You can use a marker. You can use whatever you want to make that kind of stitchy texture. And then stick them onto the hats. And voila! You have, I also cut little strips of felt to make the little thing. And that's my hat. The original Harry Potter merch hat. And then I took a marker and I just drew the stitches and I put it on my Christmas tree so you can see what it looks like as an actual ornament.
Woo woo. I love
And
the way the little faces came out.
the what came out?
The faces,
Oh,
particularly
I
the
would
one
like
on the right.
to be honest.
Yeah, but I can, I can see it. So the one on the right, particularly.
Yes. So what do you think?
The part that makes me the most nervous is the face part, but I think I got the rest of it.
Here's a thought. Should you feel nervous like Christina when you are making the face on your cardboard? You can also, because I thought of this, put the actual glue on the felt. So you could do both. You could try to like shape it and make it. You could do it like the petals on the wand. So like put blobs of glue on parchment and then stick it on to something so that you can choose the shapes that you want so that you're not like one and done. If one and done scares you and you want to pick and choose and have a little more power in that choice, you can do it on parchment. Or like I said, you can also do it on the felt so that it's kind of reverse so that when you put the felt with the glue. Also, I stretched the felt a little bit so that it wasn't as stiff. So definitely work the cardboard. Pro tips, work the cardboard so that it's not stiff. And then work the felt so that it's also not as stiff.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Just to let you know, I put these little strings underneath because those are the strings that the hat has to like put it on, like the original hat. Do you want me to show you the original hat? Don't fall stuff. I'm coming back.
I've seen it, but I think you should show it for reference.
This is the hat. It has these little strappy guys. It also has. That's right, baby. It also has this little string up here. So I thought that I would put that on here, the little tassel, and then these little strappies.
So cute.
Don't we look alike?
All right. Oh. Hallows or Horcruxes is going to work a little different this time.
Uh-oh.
So the Hallows or Horcruxes question. And I think we already know our answers, but maybe not. And it's more for you guys when we do the poll and the interactivity. So the question is, would you rather be sorted into Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw, or Slytherin? Erica?
Well, I am a proud Hufflepuff.
And so if you were to sort again and you were to choose, would you choose Hufflepuff again or would you choose another house?
Well, I mean, so you're asking if I can choose. Obviously, the hat chooses for you, based on what
Right,
we
but
know.
the Hallows or Horcruxes is which one would you choose? Where would you want to be sorted?
If I could choose, based on what I know about the houses, the traits, the house traits, I mean, people want to be in Gryffindor, right? Everybody who, when you first get into Harry Potter, it's like, it's the varsity house, right? It's the first string, it's the top tier, right? And Slytherin is known as, cunning and kind of evil and not the nicest people. Ravenclaw, you've got the smarts, right? You've got all the witty individuals. I really like where I am. I like where I got sorted into. I feel like it fits me very well. And I mean, the glory is fine. The people who want the glory, they can keep the glory. I love where I am. I think it's very, very fitting to me. And I wouldn't want to be anywhere else. Go
I love that.
Hufflepuff. How about you?
Well, as we all know, I am a proud Ravenclaw. I will say before I knew as much, like before I was a real true Potterhead, and I knew what was going on and all, I thought,
Yeah.
like a lot of people do, that Hufflepuff was just kind of the fourth house where they just threw everybody in. But as you get to know more about the story and more about the values and more about all of that stuff, you find out that Hufflepuff really are the best people. And my bestie's a Hufflepuff. My life partner is a Hufflepuff. My other very close friend who I might meet later for tacos and margaritas is also a Hufflepuff. Like, my closest friends are Hufflepuffs, except for the one that's a Slytherin. But I also learned how to have a different outlook on Slytherins. Just because all of the bad wizards came from Slytherin doesn't mean that all Slytherins are bad or evil. And
Right.
you'll also learn that later on in the book as well. But I love being a Ravenclaw. I've always loved being smart. Not, I didn't like the way that sounded, but it's just a true statement. Like,
All right.
I mean, it's something that I've always been proud of was,
I think you've always loved being a smart. Add a word to that.
I mean, that too, but you could be a smart bat in any house. Look at Draco.
Yep, that's
Look
true.
at the twins. So, but yeah, like when I was sorted and I was sorted into Ravenclaw, I was like, all right, like I kind of like it. And I don't know if it's sad or what, but I feel like Ravenclaw is my personality. So now, if I couldn't be in Ravenclaw and I had to choose one of the other three, I would definitely choose Hufflepuff, though.
Yay.
All right. That's the show. Tell the people where to find you.
I'm on Instagram. I'm PoodleNoodle82. That's where I live. I'm a Hufflepuff. And yeah, let's make magic, guys. Just go out into the world, do your business, and making magic. Thank
Do you
you.
want to give a sneak peek of what might be coming on our next episode? We're going to deviate a little bit, guys.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, don't give any spoilers, but just so for the holidays, we're going to skip a couple chapters.
Because, like I said before, my bestie is coming to Japan. Yeah.
So we have some super fun stuff in store for you guys.
Yes.
We're very excited.
Indeed. Excited.
Okay.
We're very-
So the next episode, I will be in Japan and we will have some special stuff for you guys. So hopefully you guys are as excited as we are. In the meantime, hey y'all, hey, it's me, Christina McCrary on Facebook, aka The Black Mirror, aka Captain Consistent, aka Petty Level 12 and a half. It might be like 12 and 3/4 at this point, but I digress. Aka wait. Did I say the mom friend? I can't
Go for
remember.
it.
Anywho, host of McCrazy's Place podcast on YouTube, and it has an Instagram. Oh, no, wait. I'm just going to start all over because I messed it all up. It gets longer and longer, so I'm like losing my spiel because I keep adding stuff. So,
Yeah.
okay. Hey, y'all. Hey, it's me, Christina McCrary on Facebook, aka The Black Mirror, aka Captain Consistent, aka The Mom Friend, aka Petty Level 12 and 3/4. You know what we forgot to talk about? I know we're a little bit over, but we forgot to talk about it last episode too. The
Oh,
9 and 3/4.
yeah.
Do
It's
you want to talk
okay.
about it or do you want to wait? Okay.
That's fine.
AKA Petty Level 12 and 3/4, AKA Xtina McCrazy on Instagram and TikTok, host of McCrazy's Place podcast on YouTube, and it has an IG and a Facebook page. Co-host of Thursday Night Live, which streams live every Thursday night at 5:15 p.m. ish Pacific time on my McCrazy's Place YouTube and Facebook page, as well as the Sarcarrogans and Fat Girl Chronicles YouTubes and Facebook pages. Jump in the comments and talk to us live. And co-host of this beautiful magical podcast, the Lightning Bolt Chronicles, which shows on YouTube, or you can listen via audio only on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, iHeartMusic, or our website, www.thelightningboltchronicles.com. It has a TikTok, it has a Facebook, but where you really want to be is in those IG stories because that's where the interactivity happens. We have trivia, we have Magic and Mischief Mondays where I try to recreate Erica's magic and it's usually mischief instead. And we put the Hallows and Horcruxes question up as a poll. If you make any of Erica's magic and it comes out as mischief or magic or anything in between, please email it to us at thelightningboltchronicles@gmail.com and we will post those at some point and show fan art and all of that good stuff. In the meantime, it's been another great episode and we will see you guys in 2 weeks.